A blank grant application might be one of the most intimidating things in the nonprofit world. The funding feels like it's right there, but the proposal standing between you and that money can feel impossible to even start. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to write a grant proposal, section by section, the same way I tackle every proposal. And stick around. At the end, I'll show you exactly where AI fits in this process and the one way it will get your proposal screened out. To give this a real feel, let's build a grant proposal using a fictional small nonprofit. We'll call it Riverside Youth Literacy, or Riverside for short. Riverside runs an after-school reading program. They're applying for a $25,000 grant to expand it. We'll write their proposal section by section so you see exactly how a grant proposal is threaded together. I'm Tiffany, and after years of winning millions in grant dollars, I started Grant Chatter to show you how to find, write, and win grants. In my work with organizations applying for foundation and government grants, I read and write these proposals constantly, so everything in this video is my real process, not theory. Step 1, read the funder's guidelines. So many grant proposals have failed simply because the nonprofit didn't read the guidelines all the way through. Every proposal has its own set of rules and processes. Many look similar, but here's a real-life example of what I mean by not reading all the way through. A colleague once shared with me that their organization saw a grant proposal fail for something so seemingly trivial: the color of the ink that the director used to sign the application. Yes, friends, funder guidelines can be and often are that specific. So read those guidelines all the way through. Funders will tell you what they want. Here's a pro tip to really get this right. You should not only read the directions, but most funders also hold webinars to explain the grant process. They're always free in my experience, so attend them. I still do after decades of writing and winning grants because I always get a couple of helpful details in addition to the posted guidelines. Let's say that Riverside read the guidelines, attended the webinar, and asked a couple of questions where they weren't clear on the guidelines. Good for them. Now it's time to put this proposal together. Step 2, Statement of Need. Each grant funder will organize their questions regarding Statement of Need in a different fashion, but in general, they're addressing these 3 things. Describe the population you serve and the specific need this project addresses, and support it with data. I'm going to give you a weak answer from Riverside and a strong answer from Riverside. Here's the weak answer. Poor literacy is a national crisis affecting millions of children. Sadly, that's true, but it says nothing about Riverside's community since they don't serve the entire nation. So let's write a strong and compelling answer. In our district, only 38% of third graders read at grade level according to last year's state assessment. Same section, one gets skimmed, the other gets scored. So unless you serve the entire nation, national statistics aren't enough. Before you move on, get 2 to 3 verifiable current data points, and by current I mean within the last 24 months if possible, that show the need in your community. A funder wants to see the problem on your doorstep, not in a press release. Step 3, Project Design. In general, project design covers your goals, your objectives, and your outcomes. Funders might ask this across multiple questions, but I'm going to use a very broad question here from Riverside so you can recognize it in your own grant proposals. List the objectives and measurable outcomes of the proposed project. Once again, let's see a weak answer and a strong answer. The weak answer is Riverside will improve literacy. Let's build a strong answer that is specific to Riverside and is measurable. 40 students will read at grade level by the end of the school year. The danger here is that if you go to AI to help with the answer, AI will generate generic outcomes. Stick to what your organization can deliver, the real changes you can stand behind. Funders can trust that. Step 4, Delivery Methods. Now we get a bit more granular. The funder asks, describe the activities, timeline, and who is responsible for each. Your methods are the specific activities that get you from the need to the outcomes on a realistic timeline. For Riverside, that's 2 after-school sessions a week, paired with trained and vetted tutors and a progress check every 6 weeks. Help your reviewer paint a mental picture of how your project runs week to week. Real story here. I once lost a grant because the funder thought that the timeline to accomplish the project was too aggressive. In other words, they didn't believe us. So don't feel like you have to triple up on your activities to show your worth. The example here with Riverside has a pace that can be maintained, and it can show real results. Have you had a couple of aha moments yet? Is the blank grant proposal less intimidating now? If so, let me know by taking a second to hit those like and subscribe buttons. It's a big help for the channel and lets me know what kind of videos you want to watch. If you're watching on TV, you can hit subscribe right from your remote or grab your phone and tap it there. Step 5, budget and budget narrative. In my experience, a lot of people who are nervous about grant writing are doubly nervous about the budget form, especially when the question comes in 2 parts. Provide a line item budget with a narrative justifying each cost. The simplest grant budgets cover what are called direct costs, which means those expenses directly tied to the program. Another category, which we might call overhead, is called indirect costs in the grant world. Riverside's $25,000 request covers 3 direct costs: the books, the assessment materials, and a training or certification class for the tutors. Every number is tied back to an activity that is easy to write about in the budget narrative. Plus, these direct costs clearly tie to the project design and activities you've already described in the proposal, so that everything is connected. The funder will appreciate your consistency. And one important truth, funders are never obligated to pay any cost category. They have complete discretion over what they support. So read what they'll cover, only ask for what fits, and justify every dollar. If you want more information, I have a detailed grant budgets video linked above and in the description below. Step 6, organizational fitness. And here I don't mean physical fitness. This section proves to the funder that you have 2 things in place. The organization has capacity to manage the grant, and the program is sustainable after the grant period ends. For a small organization, a $25,000 grant can be significant, so the funder needs to know that there are systems in place to properly manage funds, that program staff are trained and experienced in the work, and that leadership includes a director and a board, which builds policies to provide safety and program results for the children being served. In our example, Riverside shows 3 years running the program and the reading gains they've already produced. They detail who is on the program team and who is in leadership. There is also a strategic plan that shows the funder how their support helps Riverside move to the next phase of growth after the grant period ends. Pro tip, funders support programs that will live on after the grant dollars are spent. They support progress, not desperation. Step 7, executive summary. This is a short section, but here is a winning pro tip. These summaries are often placed at the earliest part of the grant proposal form, but I placed it here in the video because I always write it last. It's the whole proposal in a few tight paragraphs, or maybe as short as 250 characters. Riverside can now provide an overview of the need, the outcomes, their plan, and their request. Writing it after everything else is done makes the summary accurate instead of aspirational. The next step, the review process, sounds like the easiest part, but a lot of nonprofits can get tripped up here. Step 8, review like a reviewer. At this point, your proposal is almost done, and congratulations, this is an accomplishment. But let's get those guidelines out one more time. We have 2 things to do here. First, funders often include some kind of narrative to walk you through their deliberation process. Some might even have a scoring rubric. Compare your newly written proposal to that rubric to see if anything is missing or not quite as strong a case as it could be. Second, I would say that 99% of grant funders require additional documents to be submitted with the proposal. The most commonly requested attachments are your IRS letter of determination, your board roster, your financials, your organization budget, the project budget, and if you are collaborating with other nonprofits or agencies, sometimes an MOU or letter of support. Run through all of this in a very deliberate fashion so that the complete proposal package you submit gives the reviewer exactly what they were looking for. Make it easy for the funder to place your proposal higher on the list for consideration. Where AI fits in grant writing. Here's my honest take, and it's the same position that appears in special statements made by our industry regarding AI and grants. Ethical professional grant work cannot be AI written alone. That's the line. I've touched on the use of AI throughout the video, but the takeaway is when your statement of need is generic or your outcomes read like they were generated instead of lived, a sharp reviewer sees that. You've lost their trust and their grant dollars. Riverside's primary outcome in this fictional proposal was that 40 students would read at grade level by the end of the school year. AI can't know how you came up with that number. AI can't know the nuance of Riverside's relationship with that school system. I use AI almost every day in my grant work, but as a help, not as the leader. So I advise the same for you. Maintain your control to maintain your credibility. That is essential. I have a whole library of videos on AI for grants right here on the channel. I'll link the playlist above and in the description below. This video is a solid start to the system I use every day to write and win grants. But to really take your grant skills to the next level, you should join the Grant Chatter Success System, my YouTube membership program, complete with training videos, pro tips, downloads, and live streams. This QR code takes you to the membership waitlist or the join button once the memberships go live. I'm Tiffany. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.